Hello, fabulous performer. Today I'm just choosing to hit record and share from the heart from a place where physically, mentally, emotionally, I'm just really, really exhausted. And I know there's value in, production quality but I know that some of the most powerful transformational tools that have been helpful in my life is seeing people, walk the talk. And I want you to be able to know that so much of what we share here on the podcast, I'm living it out right there with you. I'm still a passionate performer myself. So, grab a cup of coffee or put me in your ear holes as you take a walk and let's figure this thing out.
Hola, my friend. I'm Melissa V. Cartwright, and welcome to the Passionate Performer Podcast. You have a voice that deserves to be heard, and you also deserve to have a performance career where you don't feel like you're sacrificing who you are to meet the demands of the industry. So we are here to help you problem solve those challenges, figure out why we're feeling the way we do, and give you the next right step. You ready? Let's go.
Maybe I should actually title this episode like Sunday Scaries, but I know it's not a Sunday, right? So Singer Scaries. I want to tell you that a lot of what I'm feeling like on a day like today, here in Newport News, Virginia, we're finally settling into consistent fall-like temps where the highs are in the high 50s, low 60s, and it's starting to get cooler. There's been a lot of rain. Allergy season for me is a lot worse in the fall than it is in the spring. And, there's just crud and yuckiness going around. People are getting sick. I've had a lot of my clients have to cancel or switch to an online lesson, which I so appreciate. Or, help take care of my own kids, right? Who are homesick from school, or have been here recently. And so there's just a lot, right? That takes its toll. And I'm sure you find yourself in states here lately where if you're battling with some physical ailments, you're having to make decisions about whether or not you're going to show up to a rehearsal or whether or not you need to cancel a gig. Or if you're in a theater format, does your understudy go on? This is a lot of pressure. And these are all things that come with the package of being a passionate performer. I also just want to highlight personal life things, right? We've talked about wellness here on the podcast. And I know personally for me, as a 45-and-a-half-year-old lady, there are some hormonal things happening for me. I am in perimenopause. There are some moments where I feel so dry vocally. And if you know your vocal anatomy, a lot of times the presence of phlegm is simply the body's reaction to, I'm not hydrated enough, or, I'm fighting something off. And so body is going to react and say, we need more mucus here. And it's annoying because then you feel like a chain smoker when you're trying to sing or speak or whatever it is that you need to do. And so you have to be very, very vigilant. And for people like us who know we want to do this with regularity, whether it's a hobby or whether it's our job, there's an elevation of accountability, artistry, and also personal discipline that we're called to in order to take care of our instrument, in order to take care of our voices. And our voices are housed inside of a living body. That's why I call it the living instrument. All of these things affect the quality of the sounds that we're wanting to make and also the jobs we want to execute in our singing. So I know for me personally, I've been going through some adjustments. I do take estrogen and progesterone. Maybe we'll do an episode on perimenopause performers and how all of these factors can play. So what that means is that sometimes my sleep gets interrupted as my hormone levels are adjusting. It does mean sometimes there's the presence of dryness, dry skin. Sometimes I feel it in my vocals. The last 2.5 weeks, and thankfully I had a voice lesson last week. I was like, what is going on? I've had to make sure that I'm really taking a look at my diet. Thankfully, with the cooler temps, it welcomes soup season. So even broths, soups, water-enriched foods that are in season, like lots of citrus for me, has helped as well. Consuming those foods to aid hydration, right? Moisture for my vocal folds, moisture for my skin. I've always had oily to combination skin, and all of a sudden I'm like, what are these flakes underneath my eyes? Not cute, right? Those are some things that I'm just having to manage physically with energy levels, with hydration. And then with that does come mood changes. And here's the thing, it's a double whammy for me personally. You may find yourself in the same boat. If I'm going to be honest, this has probably happened over the course of my life. I just didn't have language for it until about 6 years ago when I started going to therapy regularly. You know, the seasonal changes, especially this time of year, we're about to go through a time change, which means the daylight hours are going to get shorter and the darkness is going to be longer. Seasonal mood disorder, we've also talked about that here on the podcast in previous episodes. I'll link them in the show notes. Can be a thing, can so be a thing. And so I'm having to really look inward, recognize that, not try to shove it away or suppress that. We don't do that here, but be like, I recognize in my body and in my mental health that some of these changes are coming. This season is going to start begging us to slow down, right? Nature takes a break. The trees let go of the leaves. Animals start getting ready to hibernate, you know? And so I think we as humans too, especially for performers, sometimes we're entering a really busy season. So the rest of the world, or at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, things are starting to slow down a little bit, yet we're expected to produce a lot, even produce more, because singers also provide entertainment, especially for the season that we're headed into with holidays. And so isn't it funny, you know, that we have to kind of live in that dichotomy of something churning over here with lots of energy while the rest of our world is trying to slow down a bit. So that is definitely something to pay attention to, and something I know personally that I'm having to create space for. This season comes with a lot of no's in order to create space to prepare for the things that I am called to do or that I really want to do or look forward to doing. Right now, I'm in the middle of a contract for a new work, a new play. And knowing that this was on the calendar meant taking an evaluation of the rest of what I do, even in my teaching business, to make space to do that job well. And so many of us, to that regard, we're working multiple jobs. We have multiple revenue streams, whether that's multiple gigs or whether you have a day job or a side hustle to make space and to do things like singing and performing, things that you love. This is the way of the world. And we're living in a world, especially if you are here in the United States and you listen to this podcast, or you are elsewhere and you're seeing what's happening here in the United States. Our economy right now is very, I'll say, volatile. There's a lot of uproar and uncertainty for a lot of people. And I think sometimes, you know, there's so much wisdom that we have in our bodies, especially as performers. If you are in tune with what your vocal needs are, you may not think of yourself as somebody who does embodied work, but honey boo boo bear, yes, you do, especially if you love taking care of yourself as a singer and as a human. There's so much wisdom that our body carries. I want to continue to encourage us, for myself, on a day when everything feels like my battery's at 30-40%, that there's a lot of wisdom to pay attention to here. What is she telling me? And yes, I do refer to myself as she. You know, whatever pronoun you use, what are you trying to tell me, body? You know? And like on a day like today, I didn't even know if I was going to get a podcast episode out, right? Like, wanted to do something festive and Halloweeny for you. And I thought, no, there was such a resistance around that. And this is not just, oh, I don't feel like it, like hardcore resistance in my chest, in my abdomen. And I know those are signals that my anxiety is speaking to me and there's some fear there. And so I'm like, what is it? And just hitting record on this felt more like me to you, for us to see like, yeah, you just need to share from your heart today. Not that I don't share from my heart, but we just need to walk this out. So knowing I'm feeling all of these things and I'm carrying all these things, how am I moving forward? What's the next right step for me right now? Because there are jobs that I do need to get done. I've gotten a criticism before for even the title of this podcast or the title of my program or membership. Passion alone is not going to carry someone to get the job done. Of course not. There's a level of discipline. Or if we only did things based on, do I feel like it or does this feel good? We wouldn't accomplish a lot of what we're doing. And so there is something to be said about discipline. And so, yes, of course, there are things that I need to get done, like for my job, for my family, for myself. The reason we talk about passion, passion is a deep desire and a deep desire to be seen. And what we're trying to do is that as we pursue this, as we pursue something we love, we protect the joy. And on a day like today, guys, I don't feel necessarily joyful, but I am thankful. And I think what helps me in this moment is pausing for gratitude. And so that's what I'm doing here with you as well. I'm grateful that we have a community that embraces authenticity and honesty. And we know that that is way more productive than trying to get the job done and to notice, I'm really curious about why I felt so much resistance with when I got this song choice, right? Or when I booked this gig and I was asked to perform this number. What will help me accomplish the job? What are my strengths in being able to approach that? So on a day like today, where I wanted to not only get a podcast episode out to you, but I wanted to be able to still serve my passionate performer members inside of our community. And I've got a big rehearsal tonight. We're going to run all of Act 1 in this play that I'm doing. It feels like my brain's in 10 places at once. So here's what I'm going to do. Here are some of the next right steps I'm going to do. I took my time getting ready this morning and I moved with purpose. Didn't dilly-dally, but my default mode, friend, is to go as fast as possible to get it done. And I was very intentional with even the pace at which I went for a walk this morning. I normally am power walking or jogging or doing both with a weighted vest. This morning was about embracing movement and being present in the moment so that I could take in and let all my 5 senses come alive. Even on a misty fall morning where the temps were cool, but the colors of the leaves right now are so vibrant. And I needed to take that in. I felt like my soul needed that. And so did my brain. I moved with intention, even with today was wash day. If you're watching this on YouTube, the curls are popping and juicy because it's wash day. Even with that, instead of hurry up, get this done, moving with purpose. I wanted to get a meal in the crock pot for my family for this evening, not rushing through scrubbing those dishes or whatever it was I needed to do that. And I got here into my studio lobby, opened up my laptop, and I took a deep breath in and out. And I looked at my list and I just started. And my friend, that's, I think, the trap is we won't even start. We're only waiting to feel good about it. Sometimes the act of starting fuels the rest of the day. And what I started with was celebrating one of my clients, one of our members who shared 2 videos with me where we could hear the progress. She is celebrating these things. What a way to start. And so for all of the feels and for all of the lows and for all of the lack of motivation, like on a day like today, where the motivation is not on a 10 or a 11 or out of the charts, purposeful action has been my saving grace today. I've got lines, I've got blocking to review. I'm just going to start, just step by step, just starting. So whatever you need to get done today, if you're feeling like you have a day where mood and motivation are very, very low, but it feels like the to-do list is full, simply start. And you'll find that one action step begets the other. So if for you, that's like hopping off of this and doing a lip trill just to wake up the voice, beautiful. Follow that path of curiosity and see where it leads you. Does it lead you to another vocal exercise? Does it lead you to a song that's not on your set list? It's not part of your rep. It's just a song that you love, just waking up with that song, enjoying the sound of your voice, and then heading into a more disciplined rehearsal time. See how that thread can all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, okay, here, let's do this. And if you have the luxury of taking breaks throughout your day, definitely embrace those. Does the break need to be 2 minutes staring in front of a wall just to relax the face and the jaw? Something I'm working on with my voice coach. Like I carry so much tension in my jaw here lately. And I think it's even looking at you, right? Like my eyebrows are up, got energy in my face. But if I'm in that posture all the live long day, I need to give my face a chance to relax as well. So it can be something completely unrelated to singing and music, watching a show, reading a book, doing something with your hands, crochet, knit, cook, draw, or something with your entire body, dance, work out, whatever that may be. My friend, and I can tell you that, what are we, like 17, 18, 19 minutes into this podcast, and I can already feel the energy levels rising a little bit because I was honest with you and I was honest with myself. And I know that these things are working just by taking purposeful action, taking one step at a time. And so if you find yourself in a stuck kind of a day, right, or a singing scary kind of a day, do something. Something is better than nothing. And something can be, I am choosing to turn all things off. I'm choosing to take a social media break. I am choosing, but that is still purposeful as well. And you don't have to give a disclaimer for it, right? You don't have, I'm going to even encourage you on this. Don't even make a social media announcement, please. Like, I'm taking a Facebook break. Nobody cares. And I say that with all the love in my heart. Nobody cares. Just do it. Just do it. And all you have to do is have the peace of mind that this is going to help you show up in ways that you really, really want to. So I hope this helps, love. Thank you so much for allowing me just to take a moment today and be super duper honest with you and see me in a state where energy levels are a little low, but I'm still grateful that I get to share this space with you, that I get to do the work that I do. If there's anything that you do want to discuss on the podcast that we can help you navigate with, what do you do next? Feel free to send me a message. We got this. We're going to take a big deep breath in, exhale out, and know that we are exactly where we need to be.